Hey everyone, Josh and Freeman back again for another video. Today we're going to be focusing on Maximilien Robespierre. Robespierre was born on the 6th of May 1758 in Arras, France, to a lawyer. His mother was already 5 months pregnant with him when she married his father. Unfortunately, Robespierre's mother died when he was young, and his father would leave the family for long periods of time until he just didn't come back. After his mother's death, Max and his two sisters and brother moved in with his grandparents on his mom's side. Now, unlike most children in this time at his age, Max was literate by age 8. In 1765, Robespierre attended the Oratorians College at Arras and in 69 received a scholarship for the prestigious Louis le Grand College. He was only 11. His education went on until he was 23, in which he cultivated a love for philosophy and studies. Finally, in 1781, he received his degree. Throughout his education, Robespierre was entranced by the work of the philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, whose basic notion of humanity was that humans were basically good. But not only was that a principle of the French philosopher, Max was also drawn to his ideas of a system of government that legitimized all peoples. Robespierre worked as a lawyer. Then he was promoted to judge. And he made a comfortable income, but left it to pursue his fight against slavery and the death penalty. Robespierre hated the division and haughtiness opposed by the upper classes and helped form the National Assembly, which is a mix of all three estates, which was made up of the super-rich, the sort-of-rich, and the starving. After multiple displays of authority, the National Assembly gained so much power that they could even boss the king around. Systems were changed. The church was pushed out of daily life. New measurements such as the metric system and a really weird calendar came out. As his influence increased, Robespierre became the leader of the Jacobins, the radical left, and became a major political figure. At the death of the moderator in the National Assembly, it was Max who stepped in. Now, before we go on to his inevitable death, I'd like to take a minute to show you what he really wanted for this new country. He was known to be altruistic and stood long against royal absolutism. He wanted unrestricted access to the National Guard, public office, the military, and the right to petition. He opposed the royal veto and abuses of ministerial power and religious and racial discrimination. As a lawyer, he defended Jews and black enslaved. It was at this time that King Louis and his family attempted to escape France, but they were recognized, caught, and returned to Paris. The National Assembly stripped him of his duties, and the abolition of the monarchy became an increasing possibility. Robespierre demanded a trial for the king, but didn't get one, making him frustrated with the National Assembly. He stirred up the city and got a mob demanding the king's abdication. Lafayette, leader of the National Guard, and a moderate, ordered the firing upon the crowd. At this news, Robespierre fled, fearing for his life. After a while, he returned and he was put in charge of the Committee of Public Safety, in which you just needed to breathe about the king and boom, head gone. And thus the Reign of Terror began, and heads rolled. The Reign of Terror dropped Max's publicity by a lot, and he became very unpopular. Knowing this, he made another attempt at publicity by speaking at the National Assembly. Oddly enough, his speech was received with applause. Then an uncomfortable quiet. And then the parliamentary majority turned against him. He was taken to the Luxembourg prison, but the warden refused to jail him. From there he fled to the city hall. During this time he was declared an outlaw. The National Convention army closed in on the town hall and Robespierre shot himself. Quite possibly to commit suicide, but missed and struck his jaw. He was captured and promptly guillotined. Alright, there's your history. Over to Josh now.
Thanks, Free. Now, on to the effects of education. So, as we saw, Maximilien Robespierre had a very good education. He was a prized student at his university, and won many prizes. How did this affect him? Having access to many different categories of thinking, he had access to classical philosophy and new types of thinking. He was heavily influenced by Jean-Jacques Rousseau and his works, which affected his revolutionary work. Now, you could say quite truly that after university, Maximilien Robespierre was not a bad man. If anything, he was quite good. He voiced his opinions against the death penalty, giving all Frenchmen the right to vote, and generally promoting equality, and was known to be quite altruistic and caring. He is generally known for the Reign of Terror, when many people lost their heads, and consequently their lives. Like Freeman said, all you had to do was utter the word king, and you were often sent 6 feet underground. Altogether, he was not a bad man. He was devoted to good things. However, he went to extreme lengths to get them. Those extreme lengths were creating extreme lengths between people and their heads. By being educated, Robespierre was able to see the problem in society and finding solutions to those problems that would work. Education enabled him to pursue good things, but he was not a bad person at the beginning. When his mother died, he became stern and hard-working. He grew up and matured. The good education he received enabled him and furthered his good intentions. The only problem was that he would do anything to get those good things. Do some bad to achieve a greater good. Words I think Maximilien Robespierre would have agreed with.